Oh, here we go. People are loading in. For those of you loading in, we're just going to hang tight here for a second as all the participants funnel in through our digital pipeline. I know you're wondering why I would be quiet. For those of you who know who I am. Okay, where are we here? Okay, still loading a few in. What are we doing? Okay. Just about. Still some more loading in here. Hello, Garrett. Okay, looks like they're still trickling in, but we want to get started. There's lots of content to cover today. My name is Cisco Kevin, for those of you that have not been part of a webinar Wednesday before. Very, very excited to have you here. And again, a lot of the content that you're going to see today, these webinar recordings are as prized possessions as the webinars themselves. So just remember that, reach out, we'll get that stuff out to you. Pretty excited today, although those of you that know me, I'm pretty excited every day and all the time. Today, though, I think something that I had been challenged with personally by a mentor of mine years back, and that I think is such a great opportunity for all of us today with what Unilever is going to bring forward is having an influence in our industry. And today we're going to talk about Fair Kitchens, a movement that is designed to inspire new kitchen culture because a healthier culture makes for healthier business. And so I don't want to say much more about it. I really want to let the dream team over from Unilever here and Peter speak about this today. So I'm going to hand it over here right away. We've got Natasha Fraser, the Senior Marketing Manager for Unilever Food Service. I was going to say UFS, but then people are like, what does that mean? Unilever Food Service of Canada, and Chef Kyla, the corporate chef for Unilever Food Service. And then we'll come up with Peter in a little bit here, but I'm going to let him kind of introduce himself because it's a pretty powerful story. So without further ado, I hand it over to Chef Kyla and Natasha. And also, just to preface, we are trying some new technology today. Now, new technology for us, definitely not for society. We're going to try some polls today. So we want you guys to get engaged when when they're presenting and asking questions. And this should take our webinars to a new level. So without further ado, take it away, ladies.
Okay. Thank you so much, Kevin. We're really excited to be able to have this opportunity today with Cisco to present Fair Kitchens. But again, just wanted to reiterate, so I am Kyla Torrey. I'm the corporate chef for Unilever Food Solutions. And hi, looking forward to taking you through what we think is a really powerful content here today. And thank you, Cisco, for letting us partner with you on this webinar. And I'm Natasha Fraser, Senior Marketing Manager for Unilever Food Solutions in Canada. But I think something that we want to make really apparent today is the fact that we're not here in the capacity for Unilever Food Solutions. We're here to talk to you about the movement that is Fair Kitchens. And I know that's the big question du jour is what exactly is this? All I've seen is a tiny summary. So that's where Natasha and I wanted to kind of get in depth a little bit more. And here we go. So hopefully you'll be seeing our slides soon. So there we go. And Natasha's going to kick it off.
Thanks, Kyla. So Fair Kitchens. Fair Kitchens is about purpose. It's why we do what we do. And at Unilever Food Solutions, we're always looking for new ways that we can help make professional kitchens around the world future-proof. And we do that by supporting operators with their sustainability needs in a truly meaningful way through our services and through our products. And we know that that ultimately helps their guests, who are as well our consumers. However, we do know that not one company or one single organization can make these changes alone. It really takes working in partnership, working in collaboration with industry partners such as Cisco to drive positive impact at scale. So what's great is that increasingly operators are building their commitment to social responsibility into their business model. But the reality is there's still so much more that can be done together. So we know that implementing even small changes can ultimately provide a lot of positive impact on an operator's reputation, their customers and employees, and in turn grow their business. And at Unilever, we've seen our sustainable living brands, our purpose-driven brands, in fact, grow 50% faster than the rest of our portfolio. So that's brands such as Ben & Jerry's, Hellmann's, and Dove. So we know that there's no trade-off between business performance and sustainability. And so that's why we wanted to talk to you today about purpose. We all know that food service is a people business. And millennials now make up the highest percentage of the Canadian workforce in Canada. And studies show that millennials who feel a strong connection to the purpose of an organization are 5 times more likely to stay with that organization. However, when they don't feel that connection, many disengage from their work and they don't draw meaning from it. So I think we're going to move to a poll question.
Yeah, so Jay, if you wouldn't mind pulling up our first poll question, we really would like to get an indication from the audience that we have here today about where you're at and what your thoughts are on some of what we're about to talk about. So as soon as Jay can pull up that first poll question, hopefully we can have some engagement here.
It is up on the screen.
Okay, so the first poll question here is, what's your number one concern with regards to your business, right? So we have some options here. Now we're saying, I get it, all of these could be what's pressing you with regards to your business, but labor, food cost, driving new traffic, being on trend, building and equipment costs, waste. So let's think about what maybe is the most pressing for you right now. And when we're done, perhaps Kevin can tell us what the results are, since we can't see the poll right now.
Hey Jay, what is the next step here? Trying to click submit. Oh, there's one more question. That's why. Okay, make sure everybody uses the scroll bar in the question. There's actually 3 questions. If you weren't able to click submit, you got to answer the 3rd question as well. Do you currently feel have the support and resources you need to hire and retain quality labor?
Oh.
Okay. Okay, I put mine in. Okay, hopefully everybody's had a chance to do that. So, where will we see the results?
So as Kevin and Jay are pulling up that info, Natasha and I are going to go on to the next part, but it'll be very interesting to see what your responses were to the poll questions that we put out there. And you'll see how it very much plays into the rest of the content that we're going to go through. So Natasha?
So for sure, I mean, in looking at that question, hiring and staff retention are some of the biggest challenges facing operators at the moment. And what's really scary is that over the next 10 years, there's predicted to be an incremental 1 million job openings on top of the 1.6 million vacancies that already exist out there.
Can I freeze you guys just for a second? So the poll numbers are up on the screen. And with very little surprise, what are your number one concerns? Labor at 53%. And then, do you currently feel, 60% of young chefs feel there is little possibility for career progression in the industry? 84%. Followed by question 3, do you feel you have the support and resources you need to hire and retain quality labor? False at 66%.
Wow. And I think that, that in itself says it all. So thank you so much for participating in that. And this is exactly what we're seeing as well, right? So you're not in your own little bubble. This is the real world. And we can see that recruiting and retaining staff is a massive challenge. We know that there are trends of, less, of that younger generation that's going into this industry. And again, having people of quality skill that we can actually retain and keep on staff. We know it can get really expensive. It can be very stressful. So we want to talk more about why that could be. But what I want to do right now is actually introduce Peter Keith. So we're very lucky that we had an opportunity to get to meet Peter. He's based out in Edmonton. We felt that there was a lot of similarity and connection with what we're talking about today and what Peter has been a founding member of, which is In the Weeds. So I kind of want to, we have Peter on the phone here, and I'm hoping that he can share with us a little bit about his experience and what he has personally seen in the market, in the food service industry. What's the most pressing issues that he has seen, and then maybe tell us a little bit more about In the Weeds. So Peter, do we have you here?
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect.
Yeah, so thank you for the chance to be part of this. So I'll start off very briefly with a little bit about In the Weeds, just to give you some context for the rest of what I have to say. So In the Weeds is a registered nonprofit that has just started up in Edmonton a few months ago. And we are a group of hospitality professionals who are working together on, I guess, a big picture project, which is to make some positive changes in the workplace culture in the food service industry. So this has come about due to unique but similar experiences from all of us on the board of In the Weeds. And we're all people who've worked in restaurants for our entire adult lives. And I think with that, anyone who's done that, we all have a lot of love for what we do, and we have a lot of passion for food and for the industry. But we've also seen a lot of complex issues that probably go above and beyond what should be considered normal issues in a workplace. So, I've been pretty lucky in my own experiences. I've worked in some tough kitchens, but I've also worked for some really great people and supportive people. So I feel like I got kind of lucky in my experiences as a young chef, but a lot of my coworkers and peers and friends have had a lot of challenges. So throughout my time in restaurants, I've seen a lot of people with serious substance abuse issues, seen a lot of people struggling with mental health problems that are really made worse by the environment of our industry and the typical workplace that we're in. I've seen a lot of people who just don't have the coping skills to deal with the stress and pressure of a restaurant kitchen, for example. And I think one of the issues with our business is that these are often small establishments that don't really have those resources to support their staff. Or maybe the bigger, deeper issue is that the culture of our industry is one where that's just how it is. It's a tough environment. You all pay your dues. You don't complain. You tough it out, and that's just how it is. So obviously, there's a little bit of that in any career, but I think recent events and recent trends have maybe brought to light some of these things to the general public, and some people are pretty shocked by some of these issues that go on in our industry. So for me, looking at some of the most pressing things, I think, first of all, in recent years, mental health awareness has come to the forefront in our society, which is fantastic. So the issue that I see is there's still a bit of a stigma wherein people don't want to talk about it. If people are struggling with depression, feeling suicidal, or even struggling with addictions, they don't want to talk about it in the best case, and in a restaurant kitchen where it's, you know, you're supposed to sort of suppress your feelings and tough it out, then people really don't want to talk about it. So I think that stigma is a huge issue that our industry needs to address and really change that culture. And I also think, I guess more on the tangible side of our industry, the pay and the hours are an issue. And again, it's almost been like a badge of honor for chefs that, you know, we stick it out. We don't make much money. We do it because we love it. We work 70, 80, 90 hours a week because we love what we do. And for a long time, I think that's sort of been this thing that people are quite proud of. Again, just looking at demographic trends, the younger generation, they aren't necessarily interested in that. They want a little more balance in their life. So I think our industry is going to be facing a staffing crisis if we don't start to change that culture. So I think that sums up a lot of my perspective on this, and I'm really excited to see this Fair Kitchens initiative, and I think it's a really positive change, and I hope our industry will get on board with it. And I think if you're interested to know more about In the Weeds, please do check out our website. We have some contact info on there. We'd love to see similar initiatives popping up in cities across the country, and we'd be happy to share any experiences or advice that we can with others who are looking to set that up to help them in their own communities.
Thank you so much, Peter. We really, really appreciate that. I know from our side of things in Cisco as well, in you sharing that experience, and it does really reinforce that there is change that needs to be made. And so if we can all come together and work together to make it an issue that people can start talking about, having that conversation is the first step for sure. So thank you so much for your insights. And everyone, I believe Peter is going to kind of hang out with us for the next little bit as Natasha and I talk to you a little bit more. So we will have a Q&A as well later, and hopefully Peter can answer some questions if you have any specifically for him. So thank you. One of the things that, we talked about, or that Peter just talked about, was some of the factors that play into what life looks like in some kitchens with some of us that are working back of house. And it's great to get Peter's experience from what's happening at that Edmonton level, what's happening in Canada. But one thing that we're very lucky about is that with our company being a global one, we had the opportunity to actually create some studies. And so this comes back from around the world. And it's interesting to see how much overlap there is, regardless of what country you're living in, that there's a lot of similar issues that people seem to struggle with. I think that, unfortunately, as some of you look at this, you're not going to be terribly surprised. So we talk about exhaustion, depression, physical abuse, addiction, but it can also be things like making sure that we have sufficient break times in kitchens to ensure that people can then, recoup, be in the right mindset, proper footwear, proper, uniforms. It's that whole gamut that really is, we go back to labor, and it's a big deterrent for a lot of people that may come into the industry when they know that this tends to be something that does pop up again and again in the restaurants that we love so much. And that's exactly also to what Peter was saying as well. All of us that are cooking, I don't think many of us got into it for glory. We got into it for the love of what we're doing and the food that we're creating and how it makes other people feel. And so this is why it's so important for us to be looking at what's actually happening and shine a light on it.
Thanks, Kyla. So it's clear we have an issue. So what can be done to address the need for a more positive kitchen culture in our industry, a culture shift? Well, we think it starts with an understanding. What does the kitchen environment look like that ultimately would provide the best guest experience without compromising the health and well-being of those back of house. So that's why the Fair Kitchens movement was launched, because we think and we know that a healthier kitchen culture makes for a healthier restaurant business and ultimately a more sustainable food service industry on which 1.2 million Canadians depend for their livelihood today. The program, as it is, was designed with subject matter experts, chefs like Michael Galata in New Orleans, Chef Nana Tanir in Brooklyn. These chefs have found success running a Fair Kitchen, running this type of operation that we strive for. And together we developed the framework for Fair Kitchen. So on the next slide, I'd like to share with you a video so that you can hear from chefs in the industry who are proving that this works.
We're just having some buffering issues with the streaming right now. Is there a way you guys could pause the video and then restart it? Just,
Yep.
Yeah.
Apologies.
I'm wondering if it's just a buffering issue.
All right, we'll try it one more time.
Thinking the best thing to do with this video would be to probably send it out as a follow-up link. I'm really sorry that this isn't streaming properly, guys.
Yeah,
No problem.
so
We'll send out the
apologies.
link.
Yeah, we will send out the link afterwards. It is a lovely summary of how this movement has already been starting to be put into action. And there's actually a couple of videos which we could share as well as that follow-up.
And also on fairkitchens.com, as we'll get into a little later, there's a plethora of videos there where you can learn more and hear from your colleagues in the industry. So the Fair Kitchens Code, as you see here, is really the starting point for the movement. At the end of the day, it's about training people, not staff. And these values can help unlock or even celebrate how operators can bring this to life in their day-to-day business. So that really plays into 5 key areas. As you can see here, cleverly articulated in the acronym TEAM. So the first is talk openly, about encouraging your staff to communicate and speak out when there's something to say. The second is exciting passion. So really, this is about inspiring the next generation through mentorship, sometimes just as simply as letting the team know that you're there to support them. And the third, acting as one to deliver the best guest experience with respect to others on the team who come from a diverse background and all different walks of life and different ages, but really in that kitchen, you're really acting as one team to support one another. And the next pillar is about making time. So about bringing our best selves to work. In order to do that, we need to get a little bit of fresh air, take a break, and take a moment for oneself. So really making time and ensuring that breaks are held to. And the last one, simply saying good job. Those moments of recognition can be so important and have such an impact on someone's day or even on their career. So those are the 5 pillars of the Fair Kitchens Code. And really, as I said, it's the starting point for the movement. So it's the 5 values of Fair Kitchens. And what we found since launching the movement is that many chefs have taken it upon themselves to host what they're calling an hour for us. So it's about taking that moment, whether it's in a staff meeting or some other Plexus forum throughout the shift, where they can talk to their team about what it means, what does code mean in that kitchen, in that restaurant, and how they can work together to improve or to celebrate one another. And then next slide, as you see here, this is a poster which is available as a hard copy when you sign up as a supporter or make a pledge to Fair Kitchen. It will be mailed out to you. But many of the tools and resources that we have to talk about improving kitchen culture are available digitally. So with training and sign up and everything's available at fairkitchens.com. So as I said, many videos from chefs in the industry such as Kelly Fields and David Bancroft explaining how they bring this principle to life in their operations. And when you sign up to support positive change in the kitchen culture, we provide ongoing updates, new tools, training, information about upcoming events, etc., that are all tied to the movement, and information about our partners as well, and how you can get involved. All right, we already.
So this is where we see an opportunity to really let the industry know, not only from the internal perspective, but also customers as well, recognizing what it means to be a fair kitchen. Shine a light on what's been happening, and actually what we're hoping eventually is you can actually see a decal here that's in the front of the shop or the restaurant. Thinking that consumers will make choices based on, how staff is treated will become just as important to them as, how their meal is prepared or how the animals are raised that they're about to consume. That it will become just equally as important. So I think right now we're gonna pause at this point, and I believe we're gonna open it up to some Q&A. So I'm hoping Kevin can moderate that for us. So we will show our shining faces here.
Okay, everybody. So for those of you that haven't done this before, and again, if there isn't a lot, don't feel pressure. But yeah, just under the chat function, you can either put a question there or under the Q&A. And again, don't feel obligated. Like we said, a lot of times during these sessions, there's a lot to process, and you may have something for the end, or you need us to follow up on it. I think today, just to speak for myself while I'm waiting for anybody else to put, this just seems so big. It seems like such a big elephant. And, Peter could not have said it. Somebody actually commented, all such true statements about our industry. I don't think in the few words that he shared, he could have nailed it any more accurately, whether it be pride or a code, the old code, or whatever the words are, right? Just that feeling of what it's like. And for those people that have been in this industry, that are hearing this, they're like, wow, that's pretty bang on. And I really like that Peter commented, that just because you yourself maybe have been fortunate to not be touched by that, it doesn't mean to be naive to the fact that, it's talked about now more and more about these sorts of things and in the news and whatever about our industry. So don't ever assume that just because it wasn't you that there aren't others that aren't affected by this. So I don't have any questions coming in at this point, guys. So thanks for the pause. And again, I just will encourage anybody that's on the call if they want to add any questions in for later. I think one of the main one, I see the source, do not reference Canada. Do you have any stats from Canada? Oh, so one of the questions that just came in is those stats that you guys put up. It said that the percentages didn't source or reference Canada. Do you have any stats from Canada, or what's the...
So actually that was you're right, that is a global study, and we are in the process of commissioning some research that would be more specific to Canada. We didn't want to hold off on sharing that though as we start to perpetuate the movement in Canada, because what we're finding is that those stats, as you probably noticed, really do resonate already. They seem to be, unfortunately, global truths about our industry for the most part, but we are partnering with some other industry players to get at that research and get at those insights that would be more specific to Canada.
And I think another interesting point to make as well is that we did launch this movement last year in the United States, so it's already picked up a lot of traction. If you go on to social media, Twitter, Instagram, you'll see some of the events that have already been held in the US. Why this is so important and why we are so proud to be able to be partners with Sysco on this is the fact that this is just kicking off in Canada. So as we also start to get more data and more information on the market, it's also about what does this look like moving forward? Because we know that it's going to be ever evolving, and all we can hope is that we have more partners, more friends of, and more people making pledges towards this movement. So I think it's pretty exciting. You're hearing it here first. So I think that there's a long road ahead of all of us. And again, this isn't about any one particular company. It's a movement. This is just something that needs to happen. And it's not really about any of us in particular, but it is about all of us.
And I think that's why the poll questions are also so important, and we can look at the results of those and say, okay, we can use that as a pulse check, that this is resonating, and that these issues are relevant, to those working in the industry in Canada. I think Peter's a testament to that as well. But also, I mean, the turnover rates in our industry alone speak to some of these issues, being as high as up to 75% in some segments with hourly workers. So certainly something that needs to be addressed and get to the root of.
I think one point that I wanted to make for those people that are on the call that don't know the global reach of Unilever Food Solutions, and as well as Sysco now on, I don't know, I heard the other day the stat 80 to 88 countries that we touch now, is just want to get back to that word of influence. And for those people whose heads are probably spinning here as we go, as far as what does influence look like? Well, the fact that we're even talking about this is an improvement over where we used to be as a society when it comes to this stuff. A couple questions did come in now. Younger generations are leaving the food service industry for higher paying tech jobs. Does this seem like a nationwide trend? I feel like we know the answer to this, but by all means, team.
I mean, yeah, as we've kind of emphasized here, that working in a kitchen is not always it's not glamorous. There's not a lot of glory, maybe a badge of honor, as Peter had mentioned, but there are higher paying, jobs that are easier to do. So you really have to be passionate about it. You really have to love, food. And Kyla, I'll let you speak to that as well, but I think the answer is yes.
and I think along with, us bringing these issues to light and us talking about it, and hopefully starting to see change within the way that our industry is perceived. And, I'm hoping that that'll bring that passion back to those that then want to start joining this industry and want to stay in the industry, that they feel like it is a place where they can be treated well and practice their craft. So this is really important. But yeah, unfortunately right now we're seeing, you're feeling it, right?
Yeah, and more people than ever are going out to eat. Especially younger people. You look at the young millennials and the Gen Zs coming up. They love to go out to eat in restaurants, whether they're ordering it in through a third-party aggregate or what have you. They're going out to eat in droves. So we need to make a sustainable food service industry.
So I was going to say, let's move on here. There was one more question, which was, I think, more of a bigger topic of discussion, was just about the industry and the differences in chefs that don't get paid enough, underpaid, overworked, overtime that's not acknowledged, basically used and abused. And it's a big question, and it's a big, we can't fix it overnight. We got to start somewhere, though, I think, right, would be the message with this, and just first of all, changing the culture, right?
And I think that brings us back to, us having a question for everybody here. But I guess it's less so for us, it's more for the diners that would be coming to our operation. Now they're going to have this whole different filter on, hopefully, or moving forward with a couple of different questions in mind. Would you still enjoy this meal if you knew it had been prepared by a sleepless, mistreated person? And then, should it cost somebody's well-being, essentially? And hopefully I would assume that everybody would say no. But I think that, this works on both sides, right? As an operator, as a consumer, it is something that we need to start asking and talking about. It's kind of as, like I alluded to before, we get some consumers that are so concerned about how their cattle was raised before it was slaughtered, but then don't give a second thought about the person that prepared it back of house. And, when was the last time they slept or had a break, or the last time they ate, which we know is all too common. So that brings us to kind of the end of us just, letting you know about what this movement is. There's so much that it's going to evolve to become. We're very excited. We have Cisco as one of our new partners. So thank you so much for sharing this time and your passion with it. Like I said before, there's so many different ways to get involved.
There is, and I would say it really doesn't end here. What we would ask is for, if this resonates with you, if this movement speaks to your heart, and you feel compelled by the messaging, please go to fairkitchens.com and make the pledge. We want your support. We're looking for ambassadors in the Canadian market who can share their best practices and inspire others, inspire your colleagues in the food service industry in Canada. And so please go to fairkitchens.com and make the pledge. It's as simple as signing up, and we'll provide you with tools and resources and everything that you need to connect. So I think, Kevin, you were going to show just how easy that is.
Okay, here we go. We're going to try it. Okay, I got my screen up here. I'm going to click on share. You guys see that? See my screen?
Yes.
Okay, this is very easy to find, by the way, whether you have the link or not. I just, in Google, in a search engine, I typed in fairkitchens.com or just Fair Kitchens, and this was the first thing to come up. At the top here, click on join us. And which one am I going to use? I'm going to do take the pledge, right?
Yes, take the pledge.
Okay, first name. Uh-oh. They want me to give my cell phone to the world here. This is brave.
Everybody call Kevin late at night.
Hey, you know what? We're here to help. Oh, look at this. There's like specific food and beverage. Oh man, they don't have a title for me in here. I'm just gonna say food and beverage manager. I am going to say sports and leisure, hotel and restaurant.
So as Kevin going through this, you saw that there are a couple of different options as to what you can do on this webpage. So one is the possibility of pledging. The other is becoming a of, and that's pretty much, the easiest thing, where you can say, I believe in this movement. I believe in what it stands for. And as Natasha had mentioned before as well, I think, we're constantly looking for people that would like to tell their story, that are happy to, help us as influencers. And we will be doing different events across the country. We don't have any dates set up, but we'll make sure that that's communicated to you through Cisco. But also keep on checking in at fairkitchens.com.
Yeah, and I would also just add to that, making the pledge or being a friend of Fair Kitchens doesn't mean that you've achieved perfection. We're striving, for improvement. We're striving for collective improvement, and so there's no pressure that if you make the pledge that someone's going to come and say, well, my break was cut short 5 minutes, and so you're not Fair Kitchen. It's really, it's not about that. It's about showing your commitment to improving our industry and believing in the code. So.
And I just wanted to add, can you guys still see my screen there okay? I found it so interesting that as I was going through the check marks at the bottom, I willingly clicked 18 years old. Then I was like hesitant on make my support visible. Like, again, and for those of you that know me, I'm a pretty open, willing, and yet here we are talking about this stigma, and I'm like, do I want? And meanwhile, it's like, of course I should. Of course I should be clicking on that, right? Like these movements these movements can't gain traction and support without us being willing to share that we're part of them, right? And it's so interesting. And again, I don't want to, because I do feel like this is a slightly a sensitive topic, I don't want to get political per se, but we forget nowadays as people the power that we have. One of my peers from Unilever, who's been messaging me during this section, talked about the power of social media and people writing about their experiences and that sort of thing out there. Now, again, with all due respect, keeping it as constructive as you possibly can, but there, versus years ago, we actually have more power than we thought we did in the past in some aspects. So I think it's just we need to encourage each other to be willing to share that we're part of this. And I really thought that was important, what you both shared about signing up and pledging isn't about being perfect. It's about getting on board and working forward, right? For people who don't work in gender and culturally balanced environments, 360 degrees of communication, things like that, like even just starting with signing up for this and then going to your employees and saying, we're doing this. I'm not promising perfection, but I want you guys to call me on it, and and seeing where that goes. And I get by saying that I'm referring to a bit of a powder keg, but we shouldn't be afraid of that if we want to make change, and we have to start somewhere, right? So I'm clicking join, and then I'm going to unshare my screen. Back to you two. Back to you, Dream Team.
Well, thank you so much, Kevin. Congratulations for joining.
Thank you.
So Kevin's going to come to each of your places of business and help you sign up. Now that you know his phone number, just give him a little text.
My boss is gritting his teeth right now. Anyways, sounds great. So people from all over the world, please sign up.
So that's our last ask of you. Is again, thank you for everybody's time here. So grateful to have Cisco support us in sharing this information and sharing the movement.
Yeah, and please reach out if you want to get involved and you want to build this into your business and help us make the industry more sustainable for the future.
And I also want to add into thanks to Peter and sharing on In the Weeds. Again, this is not about support this movement and not something else. That's not what this is about. This is about creating fair kitchens, right? And so those of us that can have influence, this isn't about one's better than the other or anything like that. This is for everybody. It's meant to be all inclusive. And so thank you guys for, again, sharing your influence. I think we have to realize as large organizations in this industry today that we have influence and we need to use it for influencing positive change. Not to say that we're not. I think, though, that the pressing issues in our industry aren't just always around finances, right? I think they like you said, I wrote this one down. This one really stuck with me. Millennials are 5 times more likely to stay with a company that has has more purpose. And so I think this really has a lot of purpose behind it. And I want to thank everybody that participated in this. I want to thank Unilever and the Dream Team today for putting this all together, and for whoever at Unilever started this, whether you're on the call or whoever, thank you. For those people that today it even just sparks something, thank you. Thank you for allowing it to move you. To Peter for sharing that story. People don't understand how important just hearing that is, and feeling comfortable and creating an environment where people feel comfortable to share their stories. You have no idea. I know there were some comments about, in the industry and paying people more, and that is important. I think it also starts with a conversation though, and getting back to acknowledging the humans, right? So, this is Cisco Kevin signing off. Thanking you guys for joining. More Webinar Wednesdays coming up. Really enjoying the content today. And we really hope that you reach out, whether it be looking for these slides and using them in your business, whether it be taking this webinar and bringing it to someone's attention that you think needs to hear this. Just remember that it's not about proving a point. It's about starting a conversation, and that's where it can grow from there. So thanks so much again. Have a great day, and we look forward to seeing you guys all again in the future. Thanks, Unilever.